Hey, what is going on, guys? It's the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And so today I'm going to be talking about the state of the DCEU and where it really is at. And we've kind of talked about this a lot, but a lot of the stuff, is different than it was when I talked about it really last time. And so where it really is at. I want to kind of really get into where this is all heading and where everything is going, and where the past lies. So, the DCEU is a very, very fluctuant type of can of worms right now in terms of where it's at and where it's going. So, Zack Snyder was originally at the helm. And technically this was supposed to start with Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, I should say, with Ryan Reynolds, but of course that film massively bombed, and because of that they just kind of just made it its own thing and did not involve it in the DCEU. So the DCEU started with Man of Steel, which nobody cares because it's Mr. Overrated Superhero. But nonetheless, this was the first film that was done. Did decent at the box office, not great. But nonetheless, didn't do what it should have done since he's a marquee superhero. But nonetheless, they continued at the helm with this. Zack Snyder directed this. And, well, it didn't work out. So, already kind of a shaky start to the DCEU. Nonetheless, they personally shouldn't have started the DCEU with Superman, but they did. So then, we got Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, which again, one of the biggest mistakes for the DCEU right off the bat was you had the Superman movie, come out in 2013, and then you don't have any other related movie come out until 2016, which was Batman v Superman. That was a big problem. There were a bunch of different movies they could have worked on that could have been solo movies that, for other superheroes to introduce during that time gap. That was one of the biggest mistakes Zack Snyder made in developing these films right away. So then they do the Batman v Superman, which was delayed multiple times because, well, the original idea of Batman v Superman was literally what the title indicated: Batman versus Superman. That was the original idea of the movie. No Wonder Woman, no this, no that. Okay, but they added Wonder Woman into the film because they wanted to rush out the Justice League. This ended up being a mistake. Wonder Woman in the film didn't really bother me. As a matter of fact, I actually liked her being in the film. It didn't really bother me that much. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite thing in Batman v Superman was kind of the whole, ship moment they had with Wonder Woman and Bruce Wayne in there, Diana Prince and Wonder Woman at the restaurant or whatever there. Kind of a homage to the original Justice League early 2000s series, a cartoon series. So I didn't have an issue with this. That was actually one of my favorite things in the film. The film really was let down in terms of what they were going for, and it was clear that this movie was only done to get the Justice League ready, because most of the film they were talking about other heroes that didn't involve Batman v Superman. And so that already got it off to a rough start. Again, Zack Snyder overseen it and directed it. Then we have the original Suicide Squad. Now, the Suicide Squad actually did good. And at this point was probably their better film, money-wise and acclaim-wise. But nonetheless, you know, still, in the end, it didn't really do enough because it wasn't a film that really was what DC was looking for, Warner Brothers was looking for at that point. But nonetheless, at this point, this was the first film that really kind of performed somewhat better than the other ones, but still didn't meet expectations of what they wanted. Then we get to Wonder Woman, the original, which was in 2017, a year later. And this, of course, my favorite film to date in the DCEU. Great movie. Majority took into World War One, and of course, Patty Jenkins directed it. Obviously, Zack Snyder was involved because he was trying to put everything together, trying to be Kevin Feige, which no one really can be Kevin Feige. You got to be your own person. But nonetheless, they put it together, and this was their best film to date. It made, I believe it made more than Suicide Squad. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, it did. It made more than Suicide Squad, and it was their best film to date. As I'm looking at some of my notes here, it was their best film to date at this point, and it was my favorite film. It was legitimately my favorite film in the DCEU. Still is. And we'll get to the sequel of Wonder Woman, obviously. I mean, I've already talked about Wonder Woman 1984 and how much I like it, so screw all you haters that still say it sucked, because it was the best film in 2020. Take that, Sonic Hedgehog fans. Anyways, so then we had Wonder Woman. Now, the biggest issue with having the Wonder Woman film, even though it made the most out of all the DCEU movies at this point, the problem with Wonder Woman was it interengaged with the DCEU. So it spoke into third person. Wonder Woman was speaking to us as a past event. So basically the whole movie was basically a flashback to Diana Prince that we just seen on screen, because the movie opened up with her basically talking about what happened. It was right after the events of Batman v Superman. That's literally when Wonder Woman takes place. So when we watch the whole movie take place in World War One, that's basically, Wonder Woman talking about it. And at the end of the movie, you see her again in present day talking about it. So that's basically where that whole thing stands with Wonder Woman. So you already have that problem, which is going to be talked about later on when we talk about, the stuff that's coming up. Then, of course, we have the original Justice League movie, and we'll get to the whole thing later on, why it's the original, but you probably should know that by now. So, now, the Justice League movie, again, rushed badly. It was badly rushed. And Zack Snyder directed it. Of course, he was taken off halfway through, so he was replaced by someone else for the rest of it, which caused the controversy about the whole Zack Snyder cut, or the Snyder cut, which that will be released in March. And we'll see how different it is, or how it could have been, better than this Justice League that we got. Personally, I don't see what's going to make a difference on this. So then the next film we got a year later was Aquaman. Now, a lot of people view that this was the first film where it did not involve Zack Snyder, but Zack Snyder, while he didn't direct the film, he was kind of involved in this, because the production on this film started before Warner Brothers had been bought out by or they had been bought by AT&T, and AT&T kind of changed everything. So by the time it got released, they were under AT&T's control, but they kept the film out, and obviously ended up being worth them releasing the film because it ended up somehow making $1 billion. And at this point, Aquaman became their biggest film for the DCEU to date at this point, smashing Wonder Woman's record, which still to this day surprised me. It surprises me that it made this kind of money. Now, Aquaman 2 is definitely, or Aquaman is definitely getting a sequel, though it's putting itself up to fail because a certain co-star is still involved. No, it's not Jason Momoa, but it's someone else who I don't want to talk about, and that could really drive Aquaman 2 from doing good before we even see the actual film take place. Regardless of people's interest in the film, that is going to turn people away. Wonder Brothers, you might want to do something about that. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give my view on that drama, but you might want to do something there. Anyways, so Aquaman did their most money, but again, there's going to be a problem with someone that's involved that might hurt the second one, so that's going to hurt it even more, so you already got one of your best franchises that might already lose out because of other controversies not even involving the script or the movie itself. So, despite this being their best property right now in the DCEU, that might not help. So, moving along to Shazam, which was their next one they did. Shazam was an okay movie, I guess. It did okay for itself, but didn't really meet expectations money-wise. And this was also, I think, a film that, if I'm not mistaken, that Zack Snyder really wasn't involved in this film being, like, made by him or whatever, or written or whatever. So, again, Shazam wasn't that big moneymaker that was going to, like, tie everything together, and it didn't. So, Shazam didn't do anything. And then you move on to Birds of Prey, which this movie bombed massively, and I mean massively bombed. The fact that this film was done, and I actually went to go see it, and it was not good of a film. I don't think it was as terrible as people said it was, but it was very, very bad nonetheless. It was not a good film, and out of all the films I went to go see in the theaters, which I didn't go to see all these movies, but out of all of them that I did go to see, this was the worst of them all. I thought this was worse than Batman v Superman, and there was really nothing that was really that good about it. It was okay, but it was not great. There was nothing really that would make me want to go and see it again. And it wasn't one of those films where I was like, what good qualities of this is there? At the end of the day, that would make me want to see a sequel of this. None. So, there's that. And then there was Wonder Woman 1984, which finally came out on Christmas Day. And this, we don't know the money. It did make the most money under the pandemic theater era. But it did not really do anything for HBO Max. The reports are that HBO Max really didn't get any boost in subscribers from the Wonder Woman 1984 film, which was what they were looking for. Most people went to the theaters, it seems, to go see this rather than go to the streaming service, which might actually save the movie theater industry, by the way. I'm actually kind of happy that more people went out to the movie theaters rather than try to buy a subscription from HBO Max to watch it. Personally, in my opinion, because I don't want the theater industry to go down. So this kind of gives more hope for the theater industry. So in a way, take it as you will. Personally, it's a win for me. I don't know if this is going to exactly be a win for Warner Brothers, but it does seem like it is, because according to reports, is they are going forward with a Wonder Woman 3. In terms of who will be involved, whether they're getting another writer to help Patty Jenkins write it, because a lot of people are complaining that she wrote the film. That's one of the issues with Wonder Woman 1984. I don't understand why. I don't think the writing was the issue in this film. I really don't even understand why people have an issue with this film. I thought this film was great. Obviously wasn't better than the original Wonder Woman film, but I don't think it's as bad as people have said. And if you go watch it, I think this is more media propaganda, but if you go watch this film, I'm telling you, you are on the fence about this film, I'm telling you, it is a great film. It is worth it. Patty Jenkins did a really good job with this film. And you know me, guys, I tell it how it is. I'm telling you right now, this film is good. I don't bullshit when it comes to this stuff. The people that tell you this stuff, they're going to tell you what they think based on whatever type of thing. It's not close to the source material. Dude, do you not realize how many X-Men films you guys watched that weren't part of the source material, yet you still put money into the to the film despite that? These are the same people that complain about Wolverine's height, okay? So, get out of here with your high horses, okay, about Wonder Woman 1984. And they used a lot of source material, by the way. Did they come up with a newer story? Yes. They came up with a new concept story for Wonder Woman. Big deal. They do that in Hollywood a lot. People never complained about Tim Burton Batmans. I don't see where you guys are getting this idea from. Those were the films that have been released in the DCEU officially. Now, in terms of how they're doing the canons or how everything is going to happen, that I don't know. But as of right now, Wonder Woman, in my opinion, was the best. Wonder Woman 1984 would probably be the second best, because I look at this right now. Justice League sucked. Well, Justice League didn't suck, but it was just not good. Batman v Superman was underperformed. I didn't watch Suicide Squad. People liked it, but at the same time, they liked it, but they're getting another director to do the sequel. They're getting James Gunn, which James Gunn's going to do a good job. I'm not saying he isn't, but the fact that they were so ready to just kind of wipe the clean slate of the original Suicide Squad that they were doing tells you all they need to know, even though that movie made money. So the Wonder Woman films are the only films so far that were the best out of them all. Batman v Superman was underperformed, and Justice League was underperformed. So now let's go to the films that are currently in the works right now. Okay, we're going to go into these because that's what everyone wants to know. Okay, so The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad 2, The Suicide Squad. So this is supposed to be in the DCEU, and it's supposed to be a new Suicide Squad, apparently, because they don't have everyone in there that were in the original Suicide Squad. Again, different director. James Gunn's doing it. It could be good. The first one made money, so I can't see why this one won't, because James Gunn is there, and James Gunn, did the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we'll see what that happens. But I don't, we've seen this film already, and so I don't know exactly if this is going to interest people that much compared to the previous one, but James Gunn is doing it, so it probably will do good. Then you got the Flashpoint, which, that's supposed to come out in 2022. And the problem with the Flashpoint is it's supposed to be, the Flash, but then it's also the Flash you got in the Justice League is supposed to be in there. But then it's also supposed to be, other people are supposed to be in there. Wonder Woman's supposed to be in there. You're supposed to have the other Batman. You're supposed to have Ben Affleck's, which there are reports that this will be Ben Affleck's last film, which I think is stupid if you're going to continue doing the Batman in the DCEU, which we'll get to the outside DC projects, going onto the big screen, like the regular Batman, or the Batman as they're calling it, which is not a part of the DCEU. That's Robert Pattinson's Batman. But they're supposed to have that Batman universe going on while they're doing this, and that's mainly because Batman is Batman, and Batman is their number one property. So that's why Batman can basically have a Batman in the DCEU as well as have his own Batman universe, because Batman makes money. And I don't have a problem with that because I love Batman. But Robert Pattinson's Batman won't be a part of the DCEU, but you have Ben Affleck's Batman, who's going to be in Flashpoint, okay, as well as the original Michael Keaton Batman, who's going to be in there as well. And you're going to probably have Wonder Woman in there. So you're going to have a lot of elements into this movie that really connect to what they were doing with the DCEU beforehand. And you're also going to have Batman, really be a heavy part of this film. So I just can't see them moving on without Ben Affleck's. Like, to me, I feel like they really need to keep Ben Affleck's as the DCEU Batman. Like, he needs to be the DCEU Batman, in my humble opinion. Hopefully Michael Keaton will be doing more as well. I really hope that Michael Keaton's not just going to be like a 10-second cameo. He's going to only have one scene in the film. I really hope Michael Keaton will be more involved in that film. But we'll see what happens. But that is definitely one of the films that is interesting me going forward into this, because obviously Batman, Michael Keaton, that's going to be really the drawing point, I think, for a lot of people. This is supposed to be Flash's film, but I don't really think Flash, to be completely honest with you, I don't think a Flashpoint film can really carry a film in this magnitude. I don't think Flash is really a credible character to really carry the DCEU in a film, and that's why I think they're bringing a bunch of other heroes involved in this, not just it being a Flashpoint, but I think they're doing that because I don't think this film can make money without other superheroes outside of the Flash involved. Doesn't mean that Flash is a bad hero. I just don't think for cinema he can really carry the load for a film that they're doing here. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's just my take on it. That's just my opinion on it. Then, of course, you got Aquaman 2 coming up. When we kind of briefly talked about Aquaman 2, when we talked about Aquaman. Again, this film probably is going to bomb because of stuff that has nothing to do with the film itself. Because of a certain person that people don't like. So this is probably not gonna succeed. I'm honestly surprised the first one succeeded, because I don't understand why so many people all of a sudden like Aquaman. For 20 years, everyone thought Aquaman was a joke of a character. Now all of a sudden he's cool. Doesn't make sense to me. So then you have, at some point, Black Adam, which is confirmed, but we don't know when it's coming out. That's going to be a film that The Rock is working on. He's going to be, him and his team's going to be involved with this. They clearly indicated that he's going to be involved with it. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. And then There's also confirmed that there's going to be a Shazam 2. Why? I have no idea, but I guess it's because it's going to coincide with Black Adam. Probably it's going to be one of those things where Black Adam and Shazam will probably cross over, because obviously in the first film he wasn't there, and the second film I'm assuming he's going to be either in the second one or he's going to be in the first one, aka, well, I should also say Captain Marvel, because Shazam is the real Captain Marvel, but they call it Shazam because that's what his name is now. Well, that's the title of the comic book now, but that's also now his name apparently, even though he was called Captain Marvel for years, even though the comic book itself was called Shazam. So, yeah. Those are all the confirmed films, and personally, I gotta be completely honest with you, other than the Flashpoint film, really nothing in the DCEU interests me. I really think they ruined the DCEU. I think the DCEU is really bad. It's cluttered, and I prefer DC over Marvel. Okay, I'm not trying to be one of these guys that's like, oh yeah, DC it's so great. The DCEU, so no, it's not. It's shit right now. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It's in disarray. They keep messing everything up, and they got and everyone that wants that, because they're, we'll go into the Zack Snyder cut, or the Snyder cut. Everyone's so into this whole Snyder cut thing. I still don't which is going to come out in March. I still don't understand why people are so hyped about this. All right, you really think that whatever Zack Snyder originally had planned for the Justice League film, do you really think that that's going to change anything? It's not. All right, there might be a couple dialogues, maybe a couple different scenes. It's not going to change really the majority of the film, because there was a lot of portion of this film that Zack Snyder did in the original cut. So I don't see what people are getting hyped for. I don't know. I really feel that a lot of people are going to set themselves up for disappointment. Now everyone's asking, oh, we want the original Zack Snyder vision. What vision do you guys want? Can I please legitimately ask that? Like, what vision do you guys want? All right, I'm not gonna really get on the high horse on Zack Snyder, because obviously he's a good director. I'm not trying to say that he's a bad director or a bad writer or anything like that. He mostly was heavily involved in the Wonder Woman 2017 film with Patty Jenkins. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. Outside of the Wonder Woman film, Zack Snyder was not good in the DCEU. He wasn't. None of his films appealed really to anybody. That's just the truth. If you look at any of his films, most of them got bad reviews. Man of Steel underperformed. Batman v Superman underperformed. Suicide Squad did okay, but still didn't meet expectations to what Warner Brothers wanted at the time. Okay? And then you had Wonder Woman that did great, but then you also then had Justice League that did poopy. Okay? And that was like where they were trying to get rid of him too. It's just the thing. I really think he butchered the entire universe. And like I said, I don't think what DC is currently doing now is great either. I'm not saying that the people who are doing it right now are doing better than Zack Snyder. No, they're not. I think they're doing worse, actually, right now. But I could be proven wrong. But as of right now, I have not seen them do anything that makes it better. Like I said, they're doing films that I don't even think really matter. I mean, Birds of Prey was stupid. Okay? Shazam. Okay? Sorry guys, Shazam was not a key superhero at all. Okay? Him being in the DCEU does not matter to me. Okay? It really doesn't. He's not a great superhero. Maybe in the 40s he was. Captain Marvel, Shazam. Maybe in the 40s, when he was beating out Superman in comic books. Yeah, okay. But there was like a 30-year gap where you had your missed opportunity, and now no one really cares about him anymore. Okay, the majority of the mainstream fans don't give a shit. Okay, that's just being brutally honest. They don't. If they gave a shit, they'd be shelling out money like they do with the Batman all the time. They don't. Okay. That's why Batman gets all these movies. The reason why Batman keeps getting movies and he keeps getting different adaptations, all that, there's a reason for that. Because he's a moneymaker. Shazam is not a moneymaker. Okay? Superman, somewhat, obviously he's lost his luxury over time. But, he's still someone, even though I hate Superman, he's someone that will still make money because the advertisements and all that stuff that goes around. Same with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman makes money, okay? She was really one of the first female superheroes. I believe she was the first female superhero. And pretty much everyone has appealed to Wonder Woman, strong woman, Amazonian warrior, but also, the movies really helped as well, too, because the movies, at least right now, the first one was good. The second one was still good, too, but we got idiots that don't understand how movies work, I guess. I just don't understand how anyone thinks that I just don't understand why people think that movie wasn't good. Like, I've analyzed that movie to death. Like, and I've read what people have said is wrong with that movie, and I do this. Like, what are you guys watching? Like, how do you think this movie isn't good? The fight scenes weren't long enough. Like, what the frig are you talking about? The fight scenes were okay. They freaking went along. They went with the plot, and they freaking got where they wanted to go. The film was great. Like, God, I could, like I said, I've made multiple videos addressing why that film was great. But anyways, like I said, you could have done a perfect Teen Titans, adaptation, like they do with Guardians of the Galaxy, which no one knew what Guardians of the Galaxy were. Now everyone does. They didn't know that before, James Gunn made his film. You could have easily done a similar thing with Teen Titans, and everyone knows what Teen Titans was. Teen Titans would have made money. That's what you should have saved Cyborg. And that's another reason why I didn't I didn't like Zack Snyder's Justice League, because Zack Snyder's Justice League put Cyborg in there, and Cyborg should have been a Teen Titan, not a Justice League person. There's a reason why Cyborg didn't work in that movie. Ray Fisher obviously has complained about the treatment, and I don't know if any of that stuff is true or not, but I'm going to tell you one thing right now. When it comes to Cyborg, other than him being in the Teen Titans, really no one gives a damn. Okay? No one gives a damn about Cyborg. There are some people that know him in the Justice League, but most of the casual fans don't know him in the Justice League. They don't. Most people know him in the Teen Titans. This is why I keep telling people he needed to be in the Teen Titans. He cannot be in the Justice League, or he had to have had an origins before the Justice League. This is another thing that Zack Snyder did wrong. He didn't give these guys enough origins. He gave some people origins, but with someone like a Cyborg, if you're going to put him in a crossover movie like the Justice League, you have to give someone like that an origin. You can get away with that with Wonder Woman. Obviously, you can get away with it with Batman and Superman. But you can get away with that with Wonder Woman. You can kind of give away with that with Flash, because, a lot of people do know who Flash is. Not many people know his origins, but people do know who the Flash is. Okay? Who else was in there? Aquaman. People know who Aquaman is. Not many people know his origins, but people know who Aquaman is. Okay? If you ask anybody who Aquaman is, people know who he is. People from years ago will know who he is. Same with Flash. Same with the other guys. No one outside of my generation that watched the Teen Titans knows who the hell Cyborg is. I guarantee you, ask a 40-year-old person or a 50-year-old person who the hell Cyborg is, and they don't really pay attention to DC. They know, like, Batman and all that stuff. They're not going to know who Cyborg is. And this is why Cyborg didn't work in the Justice League. Unless you're doing a Teen Titans movie, Cyborg does not work in the or does not work in Justice League, and that's why he did not appeal to people. And like I said, I don't know what happened with Ray Fisher in terms of, the stuff that happened behind the scenes. I don't know if that's true or not, but in terms of the character that he played, it makes sense why he didn't get that much screen time, because he was not a credible character. You need an origins for a character like him, or you need him in the Teen Titans, because most people don't know who he is other than my generation. The people that are 30 or under are gonna know who he is. I'm 29, obviously. I was a kid watching the Teen Titans. Okay, people my age are gonna know who Cyborg is. People from the previous generations are not gonna know who he is. And that's why it didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense that they put him in there. All right, I know they were trying to follow the New 52 continuity, which, he's in there, but that was a mistake. I said it before, they should have went with the early 2000s Justice League, the original 7. That's what they should have went with. Or at least pick 5 of them out of the original 7, if you wanted to balance that out. That's what you should have went with. You could have had, well, Green Lantern was always planned to be in the film, but John Stewart Green Lantern would have been a much better decision for, rather than have Cyborg in there. Cyborg, no one knows who he is, so the fans are not going to be appealed to that unless he was in the Teen Titans or he had an origin. Now, obviously, they were going to have a Cyborg movie when it come out in 2020, but it got canceled. But of course, as we all know, it didn't happen because everything got screwed up. And that's why Cyborg just didn't work. And I know I'm forcing on Cyborg a little longer than I wanted to, but I just, because people ask me, like, why? Why do you really feel strongly about Cyborg not being... It's not that I don't like Cyborg. I love Cyborg. I loved him in the Teen Titans. But that's what I know him from. I know him from the Teen Titans. I don't know him from the Justice League. Until recently, he was just put in there in the New 52 continuity. New, older fans aren't going to really know that. Unless you're really, really into it. They're not going to know that. Casual people, again, people that are in their 50s or people in their 40s aren't going to probably know that. Only people like me that are, unless you're 30 or under, you're probably not going to know who Cyborg is. You need to have an origins for a character like that. An origins movie, and they didn't do that because they rushed the Justice League out. What else? Which, again, I talk about this in my timeline movie, how I would have booked the DCEU if I was doing the movies. If I had to pick the movies, what I would do. This is how I would kind of do it, too. I would have had a Teen Titans movie. I would not have had him in the Justice League. I would have had a John Stewart's Green Lantern, instead, over him. There's just so many different things they could have done that they just chose not to do. And that's why the DCEU is in the flux it is. It's in a flux because they don't know what they want. That's the problem. The president of DC Films right now, he doesn't know what he wants to do. Zack Snyder didn't know what he wanted to do. Okay? None of these people know what they want to do. They don't. They are doing stuff out of a whim, and the universe is getting crushed because of it. The DCEU is getting crushed because of it, because they don't know what they want to do. They'll do this, and then they'll change their mind. They'll try this, then they'll change their mind. They'll just do whatever works. They'll just try to do whatever works, and then if that works, then they'll just leech off of that. They leeched off of Wonder Woman. Then they leeched off of Aquaman. And that's why Wonder Woman got a sequel. That's why Aquaman is getting a sequel. Okay? They're only leeching off of what works. You know what I'm saying? They're not really trying to figure out an actual plan. Like, they think they have a plan, just like they had an original game plan for Zack Snyder's vision. They had a plan, but Now they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. Like, they're just trying to keep doing what they think's going to work until it works. And that's just not proper. Kevin Feige at Marvel, he has a vision. He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to keep doing it until something doesn't work, and then he'll change it later on. Even having to work with Sony with all the Spider-Man stuff, he calls an audible and then changes it up just for, the Sony stuff. But he still does it. He has a plan. He has a vision. The people at DC, they don't have a plan. They don't have a vision. They're just going to keep doing stuff. They're going to keep farting stuff out until it sticks. And that's the problem I have with this DCEU. And, people, are so obsessed over the Zack Snyder stuff. But the fact of the matter is Zack Snyder was just as bad as the current administration is. Honestly, I'd rather them have James Gunn, run it, or get someone else to run it. Because, honestly, Zack Snyder didn't do it for me either. Zack Snyder was doing, the things that I didn't like. People want the Zack Snyder verse to be restored. I'm hearing the calls for that. Why? His universe sucked. Okay, it did. I mean, yeah, the universe we got right now sucks too, don't get me wrong. But it's not like Zack Snyder's was a home run. Alright? He had one good film. In my opinion, obviously, Aquaman did good. But personally, I don't think it was that good of a film. I don't know why people liked it. But there's that. I just don't understand where people think that Zack Snyder is the savior of the universe when he had multiple opportunities to make this universe great, and he failed. And now you got these other guys who are doing just as bad that really need to personally go as well. I'm not defending them either, because the current people that are doing the films now aren't doing very well either, other than Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman 1984, which everyone's bitching about for some reason. Personally, I think they need a clean house everywhere up the board, because all of them are not working. It's not working. They've ruined this universe. Personally, they should just reboot the entire thing. But you can't now because you got Wonder Woman that's still doing really good. And that's just my take on it. Ben Affleck should come back as Batman because he's Batman. Unless they want to do more with Michael Keaton. Unless Michael Keaton's taking over and they're going to do a Batman Beyond thing or something like that. Unless you're doing that shit, then I have no interest. I have no interest at all in them replacing Ben Affleck, because I do like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he had potential. It's just they just don't know anything to do with him. They just keep ruining him. I like the Wonder Woman and Ben Affleck's Batman dynamic that they were doing for a while, and then they ruined that as usual. If they, whenever they do Wonder Woman 3, I do hope that that it's not, again, I've said this before, I hope it's not in modern day. I know Patty Jenkins is pushing for that, but I'm kind of hoping that they don't do that. I do agree. I don't think it should be modern day. I think it should be, more of in the past, unless it's going to somehow cross over with the current superheroes. That's the only way I think it could work. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the state of the DCEU, it's not looking that very good. I mean, you got the other films outside the DC films outside of the DCEU, like The Batman. Obviously the Joker, which came out about a year ago, or no, what is it, 2 years now? Was it 2 years ago, or was it now a year ago? I think it was 2 years ago. But the Joker, which made the most profit money of all time, and got $1 billion. I mean, honestly, right now, DC is doing better outside of the DCEU than they are with standalone DC films than they are in the DCEU. With films like that, Joker, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what the Batman does. I mean, I am kind of worried about it with everything that's going on, but we'll see what that film does. But honestly, it seems like the standalone films are doing much better than the DCEU films. And that's a problem. Because if those films are doing better than these crossover films, then there's no point in having these crossover films anymore. There's no point. There's just really no point in doing it, and they really should just put them out of their misery at this point, because if this is just going to keep going on, like I said, I have, other than whenever they come out with Wonder Woman 3, whenever that comes out, I mean, that's probably the only thing that will interest me coming up. Everything else is just, no, it's just not for me, guys. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed with the way the DC universe is. I'm really disappointed in how these execs are handling it. I don't like it. I don't like the direction. Personally, I'm more optimistic about what Marvel's doing right now because I know they have a structure. I know Kevin Feige has a structure, with some of the films that are coming out. But DC right now, unless they get their act together, and I just don't give a shit, and what they got drama going on as well, with the Aquaman stuff or whatever, which is supposed to be their $1 billion property. The Flash is the only one that I think has promise because they're introducing characters that are going to actually draw people in. Like the Flash by himself, I don't think can carry a film. So I don't think the Flash is going to have as much screen time as people think, even though the film is called Flashpoint. I don't think that film is going to have Flash as much as people think. I think we're going to see more other superheroes in this film with the Flash. Because I just don't see how Flash could carry a film by himself with the way he is as a character, a speedster and all that. I just don't see how that's going to carry a film. So yeah, guys, that's really my take on the DC EU. This whole conversation about it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think needs to be changed in the DCEU to make it better? What films would you like them to see? Let me know. Comment, rate, if you like to my videos, please subscribe. Discord link in the description. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku. Moderate. Peace!